IT talk is hard. We love to talk details because it's how we think in IT. I mean, heck, it's how we're paid to think because details, that's where it's at. But discussing those complex issues to someone who doesn't have the background or the interest, or more importantly, the need to understand to the level that we do. And unfortunately, a lot of folks in IT have a knob with two settings. One, geek speak that has no end. Technobabble that would make a great episode of Star Trek. Or if sand is involved, Star Wars. If at first you don't explain, more words. Or number two, platitudes. Trust us, it'll work. Both have about the same success rate, and it ain't high. So if you're in the IT field, you need to learn to communicate better and more effectively. And start by picking up these three explanation devices: similes, metaphors, and analogies. A simile is a blatant comparison. You're using like and is. Life is like a box of chocolates. If you want to add additional justification, go for it. Networks are like highways with lots of traffic. Or a metaphor. That's a short bit that takes a completely different take on things to make a point. As Billy Shakespeare, he lets me call him Billy because he's long dead, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. Now, one of my personal favorite, and I've used it for years, is the worst time to learn CPR is when someone's having a heart attack. One of the best tech metaphors? Garbage in, garbage out. An analogy is similar to a metaphor, but with more explanation as to why we're using this particular communication piece at this particular time. What you're trying to do is as useful as rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. You could make that claim to someone who's trying to maintain equipment that has lived long past its useful lifespan. Windows 7, for example. Now, my point is all three of these tools can really go a long way to help dislodge that person who you're talking to so that hopefully they can look at a particular piece or a key with a slightly different take and may be open to a new way of understanding. But you've got to think about similes, metaphors, analogies, and who cares? The difference between them is somewhat nuanced and somewhat dependent upon your use of them. Don't care. They're all useful. But pick up some, get them in your bag of tricks, and be ready to communicate. Give me an example how you communicate. Comments below.